Hey, welcome to the Sam Leah Show, where we're on a mission to become our best selves and inviting you along for the ride. What up, Sam?
I have the NSYNC. Is it NSYNC? Tell Me Why in my
Tell
head.
me why.
Yes,
Did
and
you hear
it
that
just like
somewhere?
popped in. I don't know. It just popped in. Well, we saw Trolls. Remember, I told you I took the kids to see their first movie,
Yeah,
and Justin Timberlake was in it,
yeah,
and they sang a lot of the '90s like boy band songs in that
yeah.
show. So I think that's why it's in my head. I can't get it out.
That's
Can't get
that's
it
how
out.
I felt about Beyonce all weekend.
So I watched. I thought of you last night. There was a guy that talked about an old Jay-Z song that he did a long time ago, and you can't use it on TikTok anymore because they took it down, but, where he talked about BK is from Texas, and back
Yeah.
in the day, they thought it was Burger King. It's Beyonce Knowles is from Texas. She's from Houston, Texas. So he was saying BK from
Ah,
Texas, and then now she's singing a song about Tex she's from Texas.
right. I remember hearing that at some point.
The more you know, the
I
more you
know.
know.
I know.
So, what'd you do last night?
So last night I had
Because 'Cause you're home alone.
I'm home. I'm still home alone. My husband comes home tonight. So I am the kind of girl who really loves plants but kills them.
Oh,
Like
hands
I
down,
can't,
100%.
right? So I have lots of fake ones around my house. But I have one plant that's like a cockroach. It's a spider plant of sorts,
Yeah,
and
mhm.
I thought she was on her way out. I talked to her, and I thought she was going to wind up in the garbage can like very soon. So I took a video. I sent the video to my mother-in-law. She's green thumb, loves
Yeah,
flowers, planting, everything.
yep.
She's like, it looks like it just needs to be like split because there was like roots growing out from it was like looking
Oh,
like not
uh-huh.
good. So I'm like, okay. So I ordered a couple pots. I got some soil. So she came over last night, took this thing out. It had so much going on in the root system. She had to slice it in half with a knife to like break
My
it open and separate it.
gosh.
So listen to this. My one plant that I thought was on her way out, we turned her into 3 separate potted plants and 12 babies. She had 12 babies that were pulled off and put in water,
Yes.
and then they will
Mhm.
become root, and then they could turn into a whole new plant.
Yeah.
This is the only plant that I can't kill. Some kind
Well,
of
then I
spidery
I
thing.
need I need to get one because I think my neighbor has one because she tried to pawn it off on me because it kept growing little babies off of it, and
Yes,
my son and Isaiah, his boyfriend, are like green thumb gold. They have so many
you're good
plants in their
at it.
apartment, it's insane, and they gave me this plant that's sitting over here. See that little plant?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm killing it. I'm killing it. He sent me a TikTok video on how to take care of it. Do you think I watched the video? No. And my daughter bought me flowers still from Valentine's Day, and those are still kicking, but I'm gonna kill this plant. I don't know, and I should just watch the video, but I don't want plants. He even got me this like grow light because you walk into his house, it looks like he's like probably like, growing weed or something. He's got the plants, he's got the lights, and I
Some
mean, but
people are
he
just
knows
so good at it. They
he
just
has got
know.
misters. Like,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
like, what this one needs or what this one's getting too much of or not enough of. I don't
I have
have
0 desire.
that.
0 desire.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is it's just more work. Like, when people give me, because my mother-in-law, again, green thumb, so she, like, loves to give me plants, and I'm like, "It's not gonna make it."
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
it's
like talking to
too
this
much
thing going
responsibility.
I was talking to it last night going, "It isn't my fault you're dying. Like, I didn't ask for you." Like, when he gave it to me for my birthday, I was like looked at him, I go, "Walker, you know I'm gonna kill this thing."
Yeah,
It's like giving me an animal that I know I don't know how to feed, and it's just gonna, like, wither away and die. Like, I don't know.
I know.
So last night I was in here, and normally I have the grow light on, and I couldn't because I've been going live every night talking about co-parenting journeys, and it was super late when I got off. Like, I always tell myself, "I'm gonna go live for 30 minutes." An hour later, I got off and I go to the room and Jared's doing a puzzle. And you're just like, when you start talking about something you're passionate about, you're like amped up. I can't, like, I'm not going to walk in my room and be like, I'm tired now. So I walked
Right.
in the room, did my face routine, washed my face, all that jazz. And then I just laid there like perfectly stoked to like be awake. Like, I was just like, "This is ridiculous." So we stayed up so late last night, and then I'm telling him this morning when the alarm was going off at 5:15, I'm like, I can't function." I am just and once I hit 40, sleep is so important,
It's so important.
and
So
I'm not
important.
doing it. So I made a promise that, yes, I'm still gonna go live, but I'm not going as late anymore. Like,
Mhm.
we made a deal, like some nights I put the kids to bed, so I have to go on live late, and I'm just not. I'm going to go while they're still awake and just go live and be done with it because my sleep is so valuable. It just really
Mhm.
is. It really is. So,
Mhm.
um, we wanted to talk about a heavy subject today. I mean, not heavy bad, but just like
An
really
important one.
an important one. Yeah. And so I have teenage children. I have, 19 and 17, and they've been divorced kids since they were 1 and 3. Your daughter's been a divorced kid since she was 1, right?
2. Yeah, I think she was 2. Yeah, she'll be 13 next month.
And so, like, along with struggling with your co-parenting journey, you're going to be struggling with like parenting decisions. Like, what do I do in this situation? What's the best
Mhm.
choice as a parent? Do I talk about these things? Do I not talk about these things? And so, Joe comes home, my 17-year-old daughter, who's a senior, she comes home and shares a lot. And it just begs the question, like, are your kids sharing with you? Do your kids feel like they can talk to you? And what are you talking to your kids about? Are you talking about sex? Are you talking about alcohol, drugs, consent, feelings of peer pressure, depression? Like, are you having the heavy subjects? And I know when you're divorced, you're like second guessing, like, if I bring this up, what will the other side say? If I condone, birth control or have a sex talk, what will the other side say? If I'm okay with the kid drinking at home, what will the other side? And so it's this really like weird battle of when do I get to parent my kid versus what will the other side say? And so what do you have a younger daughter than me. Like, have you had the hard talks yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have
Yeah,
to, I
because
feel like.
first of all, they hear it at fucking school anyway.
Right.
Like, on the
100%.
bus, at school,
You're
people
getting an
are
education. If your kid rides a bus, they are getting an edge, and it isn't the
quite an
right
education.
education.
Yeah, and usually it's, like, just things that aren't even right. I mean, it's so funny, even this is, like, so basic, and it's not an important conversation, but still a conversation we've had about, like, makeup. So she sees girls in the bathroom, like, between classes, they have mascara on already, but they're in there, like, with their lash curlers, like, curling their dried up mascara covered lashes. I'm like, no,
Don't
that's
do
not how
that.
you do it. You can't trust what you're seeing and hearing at school, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna learn the wrong things. So, yeah, I mean, we've talked about periods and sex a little bit. Like, not a ton about it, but, like, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think people in her grade yet are there, but I know it's coming. I mean,
Yeah.
in the next couple of years, she's probably gonna be talking about it, but yeah, I do. I do have the hard conversations. She doesn't love it. I mean, it's awkward. It's
Yeah.
not like she's not like, "Oh, yeah, like, give me everything you know." It's just like, "Mom,
Right.
like, I don't wanna, it's so embarrassing." But I'm like, "Well, you need to hear this anyway."
Right. And I think that's the important part. They just need to hear it. It's not like it needs to be a two-way conversation in my book. Like,
Right.
I know she feels awkward. I know Walker feel awkward. Like, it's just like sit down, hear me out, absorb as much as you can and walk away. I'm not looking for you to be like, tell me what you think. Like I'm not going to make you feel awkward. I'm just going to fill you in. And I love Jared in the context of when he talks to Joe about this is what boys think, Joe. He goes, I remember to this day,
Mhm.
this is what a 16-year-old boy is thinking. This is what a
Yes.
17-year-old boy is thinking, and this is what they do. This is what the pictures they share behind your back. This is the conversations they're having in the locker room. And so she hears that perspective. He's just straightforward, honest of the things that he's
Mhm.
done and heard and seen. And she's just like, I have no doubt that that's what they're probably, and he's like, oh, they are, they are
Right.
sizing up. They are. And so she gets it from me because I taught high school for so long. I've
Mm.
seen so much shit go down. Um, and just kind of being just real with her. I mean, our expectations around alcohol and we're not oblivious. I mean, I grew up in a generation where we were driving to cornfields and drinking in high school, then driving home. Granted, we were 0.3 miles away from our house, but it's just our time frames are different. So, when kids are like, well, did you drink in high school? Yeah, I did, but times were completely different. A cop would just yell at you and tell you to drive home and take your alcohol from you. Nowadays, you're going to jail and so are your parents. Like,
Yeah.
I think you have to have these conversations of kids don't understand if they get caught with drugs, underage or alcohol underage, it could screw up their financial aid opportunities.
Right.
And
Or
and they don't
vaping.
understand.
Vaping's been a big thing because, like,
Oh
people at her
God.
school do that, and I'm like, it's bad. I mean, like, if you
Yeah.
really look up the shit that, like, the
Anything new. We don't know the
results that
long-term
happen,
damage. Yeah. That's
terrible.
disgusting, and Walker did that phase too, and we had to throw the hammer at him, and I just think you have to have as awkward as you feel, your kid feels 100 times more awkward,
Yeah.
but you have to have that conversation because we brought this up because both of my kids have friends whose parents don't talk to them about anything. And I mean, not a thing. Like they still treating their, 19-year-old like they're 6. And there's never been this hard conversation. And so that kid is not that I don't think the kids are wanting to have the hard conversations with their parents, but things are going on and they need somebody to reach out to, but they can't bring it up to their parent because their parents never even acknowledge that this type of stuff is going on. I mean,
Yeah.
kids are going to
I
have sex, kids are going to have drugs, the opportunities are going to be there. Not saying your kid's going to do it, but the opportunities are going to be right in front of your kids.
yeah.
And what
Yeah.
have you told them? What have
Right.
you educated them
Or
on?
are they just learning from their friends who are giving really,
Right.
bad information? Yeah, I had a friend once who's when she got her period, her mom just, like, gave her a bunch of pads and that was it. Like, no conversation, no she's just like, "Here." And then,
Right.
like, that was it. So she had to, like, ask her sister, like, "What,
Uh-huh.
what is happening? How do I use these?"
Right.
And but
Oh,
yeah, I
shit, I was
mean,
drawing diagrams. I was drawing like, "Okay, here's your pee hole, here's your vagina, here's your butthole. Here's what you're gonna do. Raise one leg, put it on the tub." I mean,
yeah,
I'm giving explicit, like, from the health perspective, I was teaching it in my health class, but I don't want you wasting 7 tampons trying to figure it out. Let me explain it to you. Let me tell you
yeah,
how to pull it out. Let me, I
yeah,
think for me it's easy. I have no problem talking about all subjects. And I think my kids when they were younger were very like, "Ugh, my mom is so just over the top." But now she's like, "You wouldn't believe what happened." And she'll tell us things or she'll ask questions. What does this mean? What would advice? My friend wants to ask you, what would, you do? What should I tell her to? And it's just, we're so appreciative that we got over that hump of like awkwardness and had those tough conversations
yeah,
about all those subjects because I know both my kids can come to us with anything and they know we're not going to judge because we're very vulnerable with our own fuck ups in our lives and saying we fucked up into this, we fucked up into this, we made
mhm,
bad choices. That was a scary choice. Thank God we survived that one. And it's not so much fear, but just saying we were so fortunate not to kill ourselves or, get hurt from the stupid shit we did when we were younger. Don't be us. So many people worry about teen pregnancy. I'm more worried about teen STDs, having an STD the rest of your life that fucks up your health and your well-being and finding a partner the rest of your life. I
mhm,
mean, a kid is a kid. In 5 years, it's not going to be that big a deal. All of your friends are going to start having kids in 5 years, but an STD, like all those hard conversations, you guys have to start having them, especially if you think the other side is doing it. Are they giving the good information? Like
yeah,
somebody's just saying, my ex is trying to be the cool guy buying our teenage son alcohol. I'm kind of like on the fence with that one. To me, we took the perspective and this is just our family's perspective. We allowed our kids to drink every like on a special occasion in our house because we knew they were staying home so that they knew what it felt like. They knew this is what's going to happen to your body. Now, we didn't say here drink this. It was if they asked, we had a conversation and we said, "Okay, we want you to have a couple so you see that you get impaired. You don't feel your same." And we started talking about as they were drinking, and this is like literally recently. It wasn't like when they were 13. This was as they were getting older and letting them see that you can't drive like this, can you? Like, look at how stupid
mhm,
you're acting, And not that we let them get shit-faced drunk by any means, but we didn't want their first time to be at a party with 17
right,
people around and, somebody get taken advantage of or somebody say, "Hey, can you drive me to Hardee's and go pick up?" Sure. So we were having these conversations about, look, this is what it feels like. You're not yourself. You cannot drive. And being a driver's ed teacher, I was having, hey, try to pick up a penny with the gloves on. That's what it feels like. And I'm doing all the things that I taught in my classroom, but I wanted my kids to be prepared. How to get out of a horrible situation with a boyfriend girlfriend situation. What are things you can say when you're not interested? What do you want to say when you want to say no? Like practice it so that
mhm,
it's not the first time when somebody's pinning you down that you're trying to get out of that situation. Like people need to know about consent. Your daughters do, your sons do. It goes both ways. And you have to have these conversations. I mean, I'm scared of her going to college. I think we've covered everything. So we're constantly racking our brain. We got 100 days left. What else do we need to teach her? What else do we need to know? Walking home late at night, making sure you're looking over your shoulder, have your phone out, have keys out, like ready to run at all point in time. Like it's hard that these hard conversations have to happen, but if you're not having them, let me just tell you, as knowing a lot of my daughter's friends, their parents have not had these conversations, these girls are making bad choices.
yeah.
They're
And
making
you know
bad
what?
choices.
Even if you have these conversations, they might still make
So
bad
oh,
choices.
absolutely.
But it's at least it opens up that communication. It still like you're showing them that they can still come to you and talk to you and ask questions and
Yeah.
tell you what happened or call you if they did drink too much and need a ride home. Or
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think just having those open lines of communication are so important.
I mean, we've always told them, if you drink, that's one thing. You drive, bets are off, man.
Yeah.
Like, just call us. We don't give a shit as much as we give a shit if you get in the fucking car,
Yeah.
and drive. Then I'm gonna hurt you. We're gonna have a hard conversation when you get home and sober up. But yeah, I mean, all those things. I think you need to ask yourself. You're running out of time for those of you that have high school kids because they are getting influenced. I can't believe the amount of parties that my daughter talks about and my son talks about. I mean, kids are having parties right in front of their parents' faces because they're drinking out of, cups like this. And there's
Mhm.
parents out there that are fucking oblivious that have no idea that kids are sitting in their basement and they think they're watching a movie and they're getting hammered fucking drunk, and then leaving and driving home. And it's like
Right.
they were at your house, like
So
it
scary.
it is, and nowadays, parents are getting in trouble for the actions of their kids. So, I mean, you gotta know what your kids are doing, who they're with, who they're around, what's going on. But do you
Mhm.
have that open dialogue? So let us know wherever you're watching this or listening to this. Have you had that open dialogue with your kid to say, "If you get in a pinch, call me."
Yeah.
Like, "I'll drop everything and come get you. I'll get you out of any situation." I mean, even being at a party that you don't wanna be in, like get out of it. Have
Yeah.
me call you and say, "Oh, I'm coming to pick you up, something happened, we gotta go." Knowing how to get out of a situation, knowing when to stick up for yourself and when to, get out of a situation. I think, for Walker, he's been in a couple parties and bad environment and had to get out fast, and it's embarrassing to say, "I don't feel safe here. Can we leave?" And
Right.
but he's had to do it for his own safety.
Yeah.
You gotta have those talks with your
Yeah,
kid.
because kids are so
Mean.
and just dumb. They do dumb
Yeah.
things, and then when you mix, like, alcohol into the I mean, just poor, poor choices, right? So, it's so important for them to know that they can just be like, "You know what? I don't wanna be I wanna go home. I don't wanna be here. Someone's gonna get in trouble. Someone's gonna get hurt. I don't wanna be involved. I gotta call
I
my mom."
I can't get over the amount of videos and pictures that kids take of other kids drinking and doing stupid shit and
Yeah.
hold it as blackmail.
Thank God cell phones didn't exist when I was a
Oh my
teenager because
sister, you preach. We back in the day, you and I were worried about notes, people writing
yeah.
notes and the note getting caught,
Or, like,
somebody
rumors, rumors would happen, but prove it, bitch. You know?
now
Now it's like, they got you. They
and
got
now it's
you
like,
on
I can.
camera.
I can. I took a video of you. I have the text message. Somebody
Yes,
screenshotted and sent it to me.
yes,
Just
yes.
being in the background in a picture at a party. Some schools, you're off the team. You're losing scholarships and all
Yeah,
kinds of things, and
yeah,
those are the things your kids are too dumb to know. Like, they're not gonna know that kind of shit on their own, or knowing, like, in some states, if Josie were to have a party at my house and somebody leaves and hurts somebody else and gets in a wreck, those parents can sue my ass, and I can lose my whole house kit and caboodle, like, does do your kids know that if they have a party at your house that you're the liable one, not the teenager? They're not gonna come for the teenager's house, they're gonna come for my house and sue everything we have. So, like, I just think those kind of conversation, and if you think your kid is not being exposed to this stuff, I don't know what rock you're living under, but it's at Catholic schools, it's at public schools, it's at homeschooling, it's everywhere because the
yeah,
internet exists. So
right.
they're getting exposed to everything underneath our noses, and you gotta have the hard conversations. And I can remember the first couple times I had those hard conversations, I didn't get a response. I was just like, can this be done? And now it's dialogue because they can sense that we're not judging. You're gonna fuck up. You're gonna kiss a boy you regret. You're gonna, do this with somebody and you're gonna regret it. Like, let's just learn. As long as you've learned from it, it was worth it. And I
Yeah,
think so many other parents I have heard are so harsh with their kids and punishment. I mean, I feel I feel like it's hypocritical that I'm gonna punish my kid for doing something I did at the exact same age.
yeah,
I
it's
just
tough. Those decisions are so
Yeah,
hard.
and it's a personal household choice,
Yeah,
but you gotta,
because
like.
you don't wanna just act like it's not a big deal. You want them to
Exactly.
know that it's important and that there are consequences to their actions, but at the same time, you don't wanna be so harsh where then they're, like, terrified to even come to you ever, because or
Right.
they're just gonna lie to you all the time because they don't wanna get in trouble.
Mhm.
It's such a fine line.
Yeah, yeah, and so and I think that's just and it's a parenting style,
Yeah,
we've just always been, "Let's talk about it, and as long as you've learned, the consequence will be really short and sweet, but if you don't wanna talk to me, then I'm gonna have to no choice but to give you a big consequence," and there's been big consequences in this house, but I will say we've gotten more out of conversation than punishment.
yeah,
It's a different perspective to just sit and always talking about it away from the occurrence. If you catch somebody vaping or drinking, you're not trying to have the conversation when you catch them. I think the best thing that my mom would always do is she's like, "I need time to calm down, and I'll talk
yeah,
to you in a couple days." And for 2
right,
days, I'm like, that was a big enough punishment. I'm sweating. I'm like, "Oh, fuck, this woman is going to kill me." And then she ends up giving me a consequence and a talk. But those 2 days were miserable for me, and that was a huge punishment. And so
right,
and my kids know, like, "I'm gonna tell you something. Can you think about it?" "Yep." And I do need to calm down because otherwise I might fly off the handle and say shit I don't mean, and or say, like, this really over the top consequence that doesn't match the crime just
yeah,
because I'm emotional? And I think as single parents, that's something all of you need to be really conscious of is if you fly off the handle, and this could be about a kid breaking something, a toddler throwing, if you over exaggerate and scream and holler and over consequence a kid, that kid leaves and is gone for a couple days.
mhm,
And
and then
you
you feel
feel like
like
a pile
shit.
of shit, you
Yeah,
know?
I've been there more than
Mm.
once,
Mhm.
especially early on, like, when I was fresh off the divorce and I was just a newly
Yeah.
single parent and doing all the things by myself, and, oh my god, so many times I lost my shit over something that obviously looking back now wasn't important at all, but totally, I had no control over my that was also before I even understood what, like, mindfulness was and self-awareness, like, those
Yeah.
didn't
Right.
exist. It was
Right.
just, like, I was just pissed,
Mhm.
and, like, "Go to your room," or whatever. Um, and so that definitely helped me learn how to parent too, was it's like the more you cultivate that self-awareness and you're, like, mindful of your own thoughts and your emotions, you have control.
Yeah.
It gives you more control, so you can kind of pause and you could acknowledge that you're hot, right? I'm hot right now, and I know that this conversation isn't gonna be productive right in this moment, so I need to take some time, or I need to go do deep breathing, or let's talk about it tomorrow, or whatever. Calm yourself, and then you can
Yeah.
approach it, and it's just such a better conversation that you end up having other than you can still express your
Mhm.
disappointment or that you're upset, but it's not like you're not, like, coming at them with this, like,
100%.
rage in
Yeah.
the moment. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Walker's that way. My 19-year-old is we're the same. We are fire. I mean, it
Right,
escalates, but we both know now. So I think me showing that, now he's picked up on that trait too, that he's quick tempered too, so that he has to take a beat, before he can respond to things because we both cut with our tongue. I mean, we're just real fast. And so being mindful of that, okay, I am emotional, I am triggered. The situation is not. I'm just triggered, and I don't need to take it to this level. Because when you are in a split home with your kids, you're sending them off, and the last thing they remember about you is that you screamed at them or punished them or did whatever to them. And there wasn't a lot of like, I love yous and hey, let's work. And it just ended and they went to the other house for 2 days. And if you have a high conflict ex, they're like, oh, did your mom yell at you this weekend? And of course the kids will be like, yeah, I fucked up and got in trouble. And mom yelled at me, blah, blah, blah. She screamed at me. She punished me. But that's not going to help your situation because now the high conflict parent's eating that shit alive? So it's really, and we're not saying don't punish your kid, but just be mindful. Does your energy match what really needs to be going on? And I
right.
was always at a 10 for a long time. I'd be at a
And in
10
the
and
moment, you think that that's,
oh, it's the
like,
biggest fucking
valid,
deal in the world. Yeah.
right? It's
Mhm.
like, but then you kind of realize, I didn't need to get that worked up
I
about
know.
it.
And I kind of feel bad for Jared because he doesn't have that second, like raising the first two, everything was a big deal. Everything was a big deal. They get a bad grade. That was a big deal. And now with these kids, I'm like, fuck school. It's okay. Let them show emotion. Let them throw a fit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm all like this so much more calm parent with these 2 and, like, perspective is completely different. And so
Yeah.
Jer's still on the first set. These are his first, so he doesn't know pick your battle kind of thing. And like, it's okay that a kid's throwing a tantrum as long as he gets his emotion out and can breathe through it and be, move on. Um, so it's different. And I look at the situations that happen with the little kids and I'm like, and the big kids, when they see it, Joe is always saying, if we would have done that when we were a kid, we would have got our asses beat for that, And I'm like, I'm letting him get his emotions out. And Joe's like,
Yeah.
we were never allowed to act
I
like
know.
that.
I think that happens always for the first kid, the oldest
Uh-huh.
kid, they always have the rough go. It's
Yeah.
always harder. And then as the more kids you get, the more
Uh-huh.
lenient you become.
Yeah. And so I always respond with, and how did you feel about that? How did you feel about getting yelled at like that? You didn't like it, did you? So see, I'm not going to do that to these kids. And
Right.
her and Walker are always like, these two boys have it so easy compared to us. I'm like, yeah, I'm 40 raising kids. I'm not fucking dumb in 20s. Like,
Yeah.
I am so much smarter now than what I was in my late 20s, early 30s raising your
Do
asses.
you see a huge difference in the way that your mom mothered you and the way that your mom is with your kids?
Oh, grandma and
Yeah.
grandpa, I don't know
Just
who
so
these
different?
people are. I don't know who came from the alien world and
Yeah.
infiltrated my parents' bodies, but the grandparents my kids have, they are not related to the parents that I have. They are far distant cousins on different islands because
Yeah.
I'm like, "You're I would have got my ass beat for that." And my kid, they're like, "Don't do that again." My mom would have came across the room, and she has such patience. My dad has such patience, and when I
Right.
was a kid, I don't know where the patience came in, I don't know where they bought them from, but yeah, it's unrecognizable.
So different. I know. I
It's
feel like
so
that
different.
happens a lot too. It's so
But then
funny.
but then I think, okay, Walker's 19, maybe he'll have kids in a few years, and it's like, I can already sense that I will treat that baby like gold, and it will
Yeah.
walk on water, and it will do no wrong, and it's gonna get anything it wants. Like, I already have that instinct of, like, I see why grandparents
Yeah.
are like that because it's not yours, and you
Yeah.
can do whatever you
You
want.
could just do all the fun stuff. Yeah, and then, like, leave all the rest to mom and
Yeah,
dad or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it is a little easier.
Exactly, exactly. All right, what else do we have on the board today to bring up and talk about? You had just put out
Oh,
something that might help some people.
yeah. So, you guys, I was it last year? I think last year was when I started learning how to use ChatGPT,
Gold.
and I've gotten really good at it. I love it. I use it almost every day now. Um, and throughout our group coaching calls, a lot of our clients, even in like the next chapter, but one of the main things that they struggle with is communicating with their
Yeah.
ex, whether it's an
Mhm.
email, text message, co-parenting app. There's always this like back and forth, or they're stressed and anxious because they are afraid they're going to say the wrong thing, or when they do set that boundary, then it's just going to escalate the conversation, or like into an argument or make things worse. And that
Right.
communication piece just comes up constantly. So I created a guide. This guide will teach you how to use ChatGPT to communicate with your high conflict ex. And it's fucking genius. I was so proud of myself for coming up with this. I'm like,
It is.
everybody needs to have this. Everyone needs to know how to use
Mhm.
ChatGPT and leverage that. Your conversations are going to be so much easier, stress free,
Yep.
emotions out of it, right to the point, assertive, right? It's like there's templates, there's prompts, I teach you like how to even find
Mhm.
GPT if you've never used it. Where do you get it? How do you get it on your phone and your computer? How do you use it? Everything you need to learn how to take any subject that they're talking to you
Right.
about, any conversation, any question you have, pop it into Chat GPT. It pumps out this nice little crisp, clean response. Boop, done.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
I
I
love
just
this
put
thing. Everyone needs it.
I just put the link in wherever you're watching this from, and I am just learning I've been using it probably only like 6 months. She's been using it since it first came out. And so when I struggle with like, how do I ask it this? Leah has made the best like dummy guide for how to use Chat GPT. And I use it for a multitude of things. Number one, anytime I need to write something, I kind of just give it the bullet notes. Like, I
Right.
need to send an email out about this, or I need to put a subject for our notes sometimes for trainings. We're like, hey, we want to cover this, this, and this. And they make it very formal and elegant, right? Elegant.
Mhm.
We use it to help our group coaching clients for their correspondence back. So, like, they'll give us something and it'll be a question from their ex and it's very triggering. And so we'll cut and paste it and say, give a response that states this with no emotion and very professional. And then,
Mhm.
boom, it kicks out a response. We tweak it a little bit because we know what the other side needs to hear. And then we send it to our clients. So, this is a game changer
Totally.
for you. Like, it's
Yes.
a, and you even pay for the upgrade. You pay
Yeah, I
even,
pay for it. It's free
and I use
though.
the
Like,
free
you
version.
can
I
use
use
the
the free
free
version.
one,
Mhm.
ChatGPT. This is literally a free tool that you can be using every single time, and this guide will show you how to do that. But, like, the templates and the prompts, that's where it's at.
Mhm.
There's a ton of that in the guide so that you know what to be asking ChatGPT. How do you get the
Yep.
response that you want? How do you tweak it for more customized, like, a personal response that you wanna
Yeah.
do? Everything that you need is in there. It's so good. It's so
Yes.
good.
It is. It is. So I provided the link for that. You guys take advantage of that. And the last thing that we'll touch on, guys, is I just decided yesterday that if you are struggling with co-parenting, I'm going to do a workshop February 27th and 28th. So if that
Woo,
is
woo.
something I've been wanting to do it, and I finally am like, shit or get off the pot. Let's go. And
Yeah.
so I decided to do it. It's pretty easy. Just click on the link and you'll be able to go right there and take advantage of that. So basically inside the workshop, it's just going to be about helping you with co-parenting. All my workarounds. Like I said, I have this, my kids had this lady named Barb, we called her Barbie, that was a child psychologist, and she knew exactly what I was dealing with. She knew what the kids were dealing with, and she was like, "Let me help you think about how to get things accomplished without having to use him because he's impossible for you to work with. He hates you." And so she gave me a lot of what I call workarounds, and she called workarounds. And so it's stuff from communication to school stuff to medical things to just anything with the kids. There's tons of stuff. There's 10 hours worth of content that I'm going to try
So
to
much, which is
cram in.
crazy.
I know I'm going to try
It's
to
so
cram
much
into a workshop.
information.
Yeah. So take advantage of that. If you're in a co-parenting journey and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? I can't keep doing this. I had a lady just yesterday that I did a consult with, and it was a hamster wheel conversation, which is a subject I want to talk about tomorrow of having these hamster wheel type of relationships in your life where it goes bad and you're like, I'm done with this relationship. And then you jump back in and you're like, oh, okay, you get pulled back in and you jump back in. Because once I talked to her through the consult, she was like, you're absolutely right. I'm scared of something that is not even reality. I'm living in a fake world where I think X, Y, and Z will happen. And I don't know that to be true, but it's keeping me on the hamster wheel. And so she's ready to jump off of the hamster wheel. So what was there a link about with the chat GPT? So Leah Marie, it's up further. It says leahmariecoaching.com/find your voice. That is the link you need to go to. So go back through the comment section, you guys. If you need a workshop, everybody needs the chat GPT. I don't care if you are, divorced, co-parenting, single, married, you need to learn how to use chat GPT.
100%. It's
You need,
gonna I'm not e you guys, you don't even understand. If you haven't used it yet, it is a game changer. It will completely change your interactions with your ex. And now this is written, right? I'm not talking about in person. This is like email, text,
yeah.
co-parenting app. If you're going back and forth and you don't know how to word something, if you don't know what to say or how to respond, or you want to set a boundary, or you want to ask questions about a change in like a pickup time or your schedule or like anything, this is what you need to be doing. You need to
Yep.
use this to pop out this beautiful, assertive, concise, emotion-free response. Boop, done.
Yep.
It's like it's so good.
It is.
Less stress, less anxiety, more confidence, more clarity. It's just ease. It literally is like, well, make your conversations with your ex like you're talking to a friend. Like it's that
Mhm.
simple. It's such a simple tool, free tool to be using every time, especially high
Yeah.
conflict. I mean, this is great for co-parenting in general. There's a lot in
Mhm.
there just for any kind of co-parenting communication, but specifically for high conflict when you're struggling to know how to respond or what to say or how to initiate a conversation about something that you're a little worried about, this is what you do. This is
Yeah.
how you do that.
Absolutely. Like Steve is saying, he already uses it, and it's a game changer for his situation, but he wants to
Totally.
learn how to use it more. So
Yes,
the
grab
link
that,
is
Steve. I
it's
mean,
super
there's like
cheap too.
yeah,
11
it's
bucks?
only $11, you guys. Like, everybody needs to buy this guide.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so good. I love ChatGPT. It's just like life-changing.
Right. So tomorrow we're going to talk about hamster wheel relationships and even in co-parenting. Like I said, this client I had, she was in her co-parenting journey and she was still pretty much in a relationship with her co-parent because she kept jumping right back into the hamster wheel. And I know that's
Right.
where a lot of you are of like, I don't know if I have the ability with the boundary yet. I don't know if I can cut them off because you don't you don't know. You've never cut them off before because you've always let them back in. So we're going to tackle that one tomorrow and see what you guys have to say about that. So join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, and we will see you guys then.